Hey people, tonight we set sail into an age carved by fire, blood, and frost. Forget the stories of horned helmets and endless feasts. They are lies sung by soft-skinned poets. The truth of the North is colder than steel, harsher than the sea, and bloodier than the sagas dare to tell. Tonight, you awaken in the age of the Vikings. Survive if you can. The first thing you feel is the cold. It stabs your lungs with every breath, sharp as a whetted blade. A low mist coils above the fjord, clinging to the black, frozen water like the ghosts of men lost at sea. You rise from the damp earth where you slept, wrapped in a wool cloak stiff with frost. Your hands are cracked, your breath heavy, your bones aching from the bite of another northern winter. Around you, the settlement stirs. The small village of Hrafnsvik clings to the jagged coast like a dying wolf. Its wooden longhouses creak beneath roofs layered with sod and snow. Smoke snakes upward from stone hearths, carrying the smell of burning pine, wet wool, and salted fish. Children chase each other barefoot through the mud despite the cold, their laughter merging with the distant calls of gulls. And beyond it all, the sea, the endless sea. It stretches black and restless beneath a bruised dawn sky, hiding both wealth and death in its depths. You can almost taste the salt on the air, hear the whisper of the waves promising glory and graves. A horn bellows from the shoreline. The warriors of Hrafnsvik gather near the longships, their breath rising in clouds as they grip axes, spears, and round wooden shields painted with spirals of red and black. The village Godi, the old priest Eiríkr One-Eye, stands upon a mound of stone near the beach. His white beard drips with frost as he raises a carved rune staff toward the pale morning sun. Odin Kallur, Odin calls. His voice cracks the silence. The gods demand a voyage. The chieftain, Bjorn Ironhand, steps forward, his great cloak woven from wolf pelts shifting in the icy wind. His voice is deep, carrying over the waves. The Jarl of Vestfjord denies us tribute. He claims these waters as his own. But we are the sons of the North, and no man owns the sea. A roar rises from the warriors. You feel it in your chest, deep and primal, the hunger for battle, the promise of silver, the weight of destiny. As the ships are pushed into the tide, a raven lands upon the prow of Bjorn's longship. Its feathers glisten like black glass. The Godi freezes, his one good eye wide with dread. Hugin, he whispers. Odin's thought. It caws once and takes to the skies, vanishing into the mist. Some warriors smile at the sign. Others cross themselves and mutter to Thor for strength. But you feel the weight of it in your gut. A raven before battle. A message from the Allfather himself. The journey ahead will be written in blood, yours or theirs. Your hand tightens around the leather strap of your shield. The wood is scarred from your father's battles, his blood still staining its rim. Today, your name will either be sung in the Skald's halls, or drowned in salt and silence. Beside you, your brother Leif smirks beneath his fur hood, sharpening his seeks with slow, deliberate strokes. His voice is low enough for only you to hear. If we die today, brother, may the Valkyries choose the prettier of us. You laugh despite yourself, but there's no comfort in his jest. Death is close. You can feel it in the air, taste it in the iron scent of the sea breeze, hear it in the restless ravens circling above. The gods are watching, and they demand blood. You grip the oar and shove with the others, your muscles burning as the longship cuts into the frigid surf. The waves crash against the hull, spraying icy salt into your face. The wind howls like Fenrir in chains, carrying the cries of gulls and the distant crackle of thunder. Your heart pounds in time with the drum at the center of the ship. Boom, boom, boom. With each beat, you leave the safety of the shore and sail into the hungry mouth of the unknown. The fjord narrows, the mist thickens, and the world beyond disappears into white silence. Somewhere out there, across leagues of treacherous water, lies Vestfjord and the men who would see you dead. But you are a Viking now. The sea is your road, the axe is your law, and today the sagas begin to write your name. 2 nights pass in silence. The sea is calm, but the calm feels wrong, as though the ocean itself holds its breath. Your ship drifts westward, following the raven that perches atop the broken mast, its pale eyes glowing faintly in starlight. Leif sits beside you, strength slowly returning, though his voice carries the rasp of someone touched by death. "I saw her halls," he whispers. "I saw chains of gold and the faces of the drowned. And beyond them, something vast." You do not reply. You have not spoken since Ron touched you, and every time you close your eyes, you feel her mark burning beneath your skin. On the third night it begins again, the song beneath the keel. But this time it is not half-Yufa. This is deeper, older, colder. The melody rises like the groan of a dying glacier, shaking planks and bones alike. Men clutch their heads, some weeping, some praying, others tearing at their ears until blood spills between their fingers. Elu, standing on the prow, spreads his arms, chanting in the Sami tongue, his charms glowing faintly green. "Do not fight it," he cries over the roar of unseen currents. "The deep is speaking." And then you hear it, not with ears but with the marrow of your bones. The coil loosens, the jaws open, the blood of the north must choose. You collapse to your knees, breath ragged as visions flood your mind. Darkness, endless and weightless. Then light, rippling through black waters like molten glass. You stand at the edge of a colossal chasm beneath the sea. Its walls are formed from bone, carved with runes older than language itself. And coiled within, sleeping, is something so vast your mind recoils at its scale. A single golden eye opens. Its pupil is a slit, thin as a blade yet stretching wider than mountains. The voice that follows is not a sound but a command. "I am Jörmungandr. I hold the 9 worlds in my coil, and when I stir, the sky shall fall." You try to speak, but your lungs fill with icy water. The pressure crushes your chest, your ribs snapping like dry wood. And still the serpent speaks. "Half-Yufa hunts me. She is the harbinger, not the storm. When she feeds, the coil weakens. And when the coil breaks, the ocean shatters. You jolt awake to screams. The sea around you boils violently, and the water glows faintly green beneath the moonlight. Massive shadows move beneath the surface, circling the ship like wolves around wounded prey. Bjorn Ironhand grabs your shoulder, shouting above the chaos. "Look!" The surface erupts as a spine the size of a tower breaches the waves, covered in barnacles, carved with glowing runes. It disappears, only for another to rise and another. Elu whispers, trembling. It circles the world. The crew stares in silence as a massive head finally breaks the surface, crowned with jagged horns of bone, eyes glowing with molten gold. Jörmungandr breathes once, and the wind itself dies. The water surges again, but this time from the opposite side. The waves split as Half-Yufa rises once more, jaws gaping wider than your entire ship. The air fills with a low, vibrating hum, not rage, not hunger, but hatred older than mankind. The serpent lifts its head, coils tightening beneath the sea. Half-Yufa responds, tentacles lashing, smashing the surface into walls of water. You are caught between 2 gods locked in war. Elu grabs your arm, forcing you to look into his eyes. This war began before the first hall was raised, before Odin, before Ymir. If Half-Yufa devours Jörmungandr, the coil breaks. Midgard drowns. And for the first time, you see fear in the shaman's gaze. The ship is nearly torn apart when the raven suddenly launches into the storm, cawing wildly, circling above you. You hear a voice inside your skull, not Ron's this time, but something older still. "Choose." Elu pulls out his ritual dagger, holding it to his palm. "A pact," he screams. "Blood for power, power for survival. Man, God, and spirit must bind or none live." The crew hesitates. Bjorn snarls but slashes his palm first, pressing it to the mast. Eiríkr follows, then Leif, and finally you. The blood seeps into the wood, glowing faintly as ancient runes ignite across the deck. For a heartbeat, the storm stills. The raven cries once, piercing and sharp, and the glow spreads across the hull like fire. A bond of K-Veld's blood forged between mortals, gods, and spirits. The sea falls silent, unnaturally so. And then a new vision tears through your mind. A colossal wolf, fur black as the void, breaks his chains beneath a sky on fire. Stars fall like rain. The serpent coils tighten, snapping mountains like twigs, and above them both a single shadow spreads wings so vast they blot out the sun. When you open your eyes, Elu stares at you, face pale. You saw him too, you nod. Fenrir, he whispers. When the wolf walks, the end begins. Halfgufa retreats beneath the waves, her hunt abandoned. Jörmungandr sinks slowly back into the deep, his golden eye lingering on you until the last ripple fades. The raven returns, landing on the prow, its feathers dripping seawater. It croaks once, then speaks in a voice not its own. The Norns have woven your thread into the tapestry of the end. You are bound, mortal, blood to serpent, breath to wave, fate to wolf. And then the raven dies in your hand. The storm begins again. The storm has passed, but the sea does not rest. Your ship drifts across a mirror-black expanse, sails torn, oars shattered, men silent as stones. The survivors sit hunched beneath wet furs, staring at nothing. Leif lies motionless beside you, lips pale, breath shallow, whispering the same name in fevered gasps. Ron, Ron, Ron. Eiríkr, One Eye, kneels at his side, marking runes on his forehead with ash and blood. Elu, the Sami shaman, chants softly, scattering powdered bone into the sea, but nothing wakes your brother. At dusk, the waters stir. First, a single ripple, then another, then dozens radiating outward from beneath the keel. The men grip their axes, exhausted but ready to meet death. Bjorn Iron Hand snarls, planting his feet wide on the deck. If Halfgufa comes back, I'll split her heart this time. Elu does not laugh. Instead, he raises both hands, palms wet with seawater, and whispers, "It is not Halfgufa." And then you hear it, soft at first like a sigh, then louder, then deafening. A voice rises from beneath the waves, layered and infinite like 9 women speaking in unison. Blood of the north, you wake the sleeper. You owe me breath. The surface boils. Pale arms, slender and cold, break through the water, dozens of them clawing at the hull. The sea tilts, dragging your ship toward a dark whirlpool forming off the port side. Before anyone can act, the water parts and she rises. Ran, goddess of the drowned, emerges from the deep. She is taller than the mast, her hair a storm of black kelp, her skin glowing faintly green as if lit by drowned moons. Her cloak is woven from the sails of sunken ships, torn and dripping with seawater. Her eyes, pale, endless, shifting like tide pools, fix on you alone. The men drop their weapons, knees trembling. Even Bjorn lowers his axe. Eiríkr bows his head, whispering, "Mistress of nets, she who takes all souls, do not claim us." Ran steps forward, her bare feet never touching the deck yet leaving puddles where she walks. Her voice fills your skull, drowning all thought. "One of yours lies between breath and bone. His soul drifts in my net. Do you want him back?" Leif twitches, coughing weakly as though hearing her. You nod, throat dry. "Then pay," she whispers. "A name for a name. A bloodline for a breath." Elu cries out, shaking his charms. "Do not answer, her bargains never end. But you cannot stop yourself." "What price?" Ron smiles and the sea sighs. "I spare your kin, I return his breath. But you will carry my mark." A thin hand, dripping salt water, presses against your chest. Cold floods your veins, burning like frost and fire at once. You see visions behind your eyes, the drowned halls beneath the waves, armies of pale warriors sleeping in coral tombs, and at the center of it all, Halfgufa. But beyond Halfgufa, deeper still, lies something larger, something awake. Ragnarök stirs, Ron breathes into your mind. The wolf howls, the serpent coils, the deep unseals its jaws. And you, mortal, will choose who drowns. Your scream is swallowed by the sea. When you wake, Ron is gone. Leif breathes steadily beside you, color returned to his cheeks. But something is wrong. The men stare at you as though at a ghost. Elu refuses to meet your gaze. Eiríkr steps forward, gripping his spear with shaking hands. "Your eyes," he whispers. "They are not yours anymore." You catch your reflection in a pool of seawater. Your irises are pale green, glowing faintly like Ron's. That night, as the ship drifts beneath cold stars, Eiríkr speaks quietly only to you. She marked you for a reason. And if Ron moves, the Norns are already weaving. Elu interrupts, voice low and harsh. Halfkufa was never the danger. She is only the horn that calls the storm. You glance west, toward the distant horizon, where storm clouds boil and flashes of green fire dance silently across the sky. Somewhere beneath those waters, something ancient has begun to rise. The raven returns at dawn, feathers soaked, eyes pale as bone. It lands on the prow and croaks once, twice, 3 times. Eiríkur stares at it, face ashen. Hugin warns us. Midgard Sormr has begun to stir. Beneath the keel, the sea trembles. The sea does not roar, it screams. The whirlpool beneath you churns like the mouth of a god swallowing the world. Your longship spins violently, its carved dragon head dipping toward the abyss with every tilt. Men cling to the rails, faces pale, knuckles bleeding against wet wood. From the fog above, a voice booms, not human, not divine, but older than both. A sound like stone breaking beneath ice, like 1,000 whales dying at once. Esgage older, shield. Leif shoves you to the deck just as the first wave strikes. The sea explodes upward, lifting the ship like a child's toy and hurling 3 men into the darkness. Their screams vanish instantly. Somewhere below, something breathes. You feel it in your ribs, deep and slow, shaking marrow and soul alike. The fog splits. The moon's pale light finally catches the shape beneath the waves. Halfkufa rises. What you thought was the horizon, black, jagged, endless, moves. A vast ridge breaches the surface, slick with seaweed and studded with barnacles the size of shields. Then another, and another. And then you realize they are jaws. The thing is wider than the fjord itself, its maw stretching across the boiling sea, lined with teeth like shattered spears. A single eye blinks beneath the waves, green and luminous, as though lit by drowned suns. Elu, the Sami shaman, kneels on the deck, chanting wildly, burning charms of copper and bone. Eiríkur One Eye grabs him by the collar. "Speak. What does your witchcraft say?" Elu stares into the fog, tears mixing with salt spray. "It says she has awoken hungry, and the sea offers her no fish tonight, only us." Bjorn Ironhand roars orders, his voice almost drowned beneath the howl of the storm. "Axes, shields, to the rails, you dogs. If the sea itself wants us, it'll choke on our blood." The men rally, forming tight ranks, shields locking together, knuckles white on spear shafts. Leif stands beside you, cheeks clenched, lips muttering prayers to Thor, Freya, and even Loki if he listens tonight. And then the sea erupts. Tentacles thick as masts, slick and covered in runic scars, slam onto the deck, splintering planks and shattering shields. One whips across the bow, catching Atrolf the Red around the waist. He screams once before vanishing into the black, swallowed by the abyss without a splash. Bjorn hurls his axe, sinking it deep into one of the writhing limbs. The thing lets out a soundless vibration, felt, not heard, and retracts, leaving the haft quivering in splintered wood. "We can't fight this," Leif gasps. "We die here." Elu snarls in reply, "Not if we bleed first." Without warning, the Sami shaman slices his palm open and presses it against the mast, smearing it with blood and bone ash. The runes ignite faintly blue, and the ship lurches forward against the current as though pushed by invisible hands. Amid the chaos, a single raven dives through the fog and lands on the prow, feathers slick with mist. It croaks once, twice, and fixes its beady eye on you. Eiríkur falls to his knees, laughing like a madman. "Odin watches us. This is his trial." The raven launches into the air, circling the whirlpool before darting toward the west. Eiríkur seizes the omen. "Steer west, follow Hugin or we drown." Bjorn hesitates only a heartbeat before roaring, "Oars to the west, you bastards." The men row until blood stains the handles. The whirlpool narrows, but Halfkufa follows. The sea begins to sing. At first, it's just a low hum like waves against stone. But then the sound deepens, vibrating through the keel, rattling ribs and teeth alike. Men scream, clutching their heads, blood leaking from ears and nostrils. Leif grabs your arm. "Don't listen." But you do. You can't help it. The song is not words, but memory. You see towering halls carved from coral, rivers of silver fish flowing like smoke, and the shadow of something massive gliding beneath ice older than time itself. For a heartbeat, you feel its hunger, its endless hollow. Then the vision shatters like glass. You collapse to the deck, throat raw, lungs aching. All around you, men weep openly, cursing gods and monsters alike. Elu finishes his ritual, voice hoarse and shaking. One life, one soul, or the sea claims us all. Eiríkr looks to Bjorn. Bjorn looks to you. But before anyone speaks, Leif steps forward. Your brother grips his seeks tight, jaw clenched, eyes burning. Take me? You shout his name, but the storm swallows your voice. Leif leaps to the prow and slashes his palm, pressing it against the blood runes Elu carved. For a moment, the air glows faintly blue. The ship lurches, then shoots forward like an arrow loosed from a god's bow. Behind you, the sea explodes. A roar shakes the stars themselves as Halfjufa's bulk crashes back beneath the waves, dragged into her own whirlpool. You sail free, but Leif collapses at your feet, skin pale as bone, breath shallow. The price has been paid. The men cheer weakly, but you do not. Your brother's eyes flutter, unfocused, lips whispering a single word over and over. Ron, Ron, Ron. You look to the west, where the raven vanished, and see distant storm clouds glowing faintly green. The sea is not done with you, and neither is Halfjufa. The sea lies black beneath a pale shard of moon. Your longship creaks, planks swelling with salt, ropes sighing in the damp wind. 50 men lie silent beneath wet cloaks, dreaming of blood and fire, though no one dares close both eyes. Somewhere in the distance, a low groan stirs beneath the waves, deep, slow, ancient. Leif sits beside you at the prow, sharpening his seeks with nervous, shallow strokes. His breath smells of salt and fear. The water is wrong, he whispers, voice hoarse as driftwood. It's too still, like the sea's holding its breath. Eiríkr One Eye kneels midship, scattering powdered ash into a shallow bowl. He hums an old song, older than fathers and sons, older than even Odin's name. The ash trembles. The black water ripples though there is no wind. That night you dream. You stand beneath the sea, barefoot on black sand, the weight of an endless ocean pressing into your ribs. Above you, faint beams of moonlight pierce through the water, fractured and trembling. Shapes drift between them, pale limbs, hair like seaweed, teeth like broken shells. And then you see her, Ran, mistress of the drowned. Her cloak flows like a current, woven from the sails of sunken ships. Her skin glows faintly green, like cold fire under ice. She cups your face in both hands, cold as death, and whispers into your ear. You took Skard's breath, but Skard fed me first. Her teeth glimmer like wet bone. Behind her, shadows stir, massive and formless. A shape turns in the dark, slow, deliberate, endless. Two lights open beneath the void, pale as moons, wider than your ship, wider than the hall you burned. The ocean inhales. You wake gasping, lungs raw with salt. The next night it begins. The first scream comes from Hakon, the youngest among you, barely 15 winters. He's standing at the stern, staring into the black water, hands slack at his sides. When Bjorn shoves him, he falls like driftwood. Dead eyes, mouth full of seawater. There is no splash, no ripples, just silence. Eiríkr whispers charms under his breath, cutting 3 lines into the mast and spitting into the sea. But the whispers return that same night, low and murmuring, rising from beneath the keel. You lie awake, fists on your axe, listening. At first, it sounds like waves against stone. Then you realize it is words. Come down deeper, cold below, warm below, safe below. Leif clamps his hands over his ears, muttering prayers, rocking back and forth like a child. Even Bjorn, iron-handed, sleeps no more. On the 3rd night, the sea gives back a body. Not Hakon's, something older, stranger. The Sami men haul it aboard without a word, laying it flat across the planks. Its skin is stretched thin, white as kelp, its mouth frozen wide as though screaming when the world was young. Its eyes are empty sockets, yet water drips from them still. The Sami leader, Elu, kneels beside the corpse and touches the runes carved into its ribs. He mutters in his tongue, fast and sharp, until Eiríkr translates. It is marked with Hafgufa's song. This is no man, this is her herald. Bjorn's jaw tightens. What is Hafgufa? Elu does not answer immediately. Instead, he stares at the horizon where black meets black. Finally, he says, a hunger with no shape, a throat without an end. She does not swim, for there is no sea wide enough to hold her. She sleeps where the world begins and dreams of those above. Leif spits. Dreams? No, she's awake. I heard her breathing last night. Elu ties charms of bone and copper around the mast, his hands trembling despite himself. It comes on the 7th night. The moon drowns in fog. The stars hide behind low clouds. The sea rolls once, heavy as a mountain shifting in its sleep. Then the longship tilts, pulled sideways by something vast beneath the keel. Men scramble, shouting, gripping ropes and shields. The water begins to foam, no wind, no waves, just bubbling white like a boiling cauldron. And then silence. Bjorn draws his axe, Leif his knife. Eiríkr closes his eye and whispers to Odin. From the depths, a column of water explodes upward, towering over the ship like a black wall. It is not water, it is flesh. A pale, ridged surface, slick with kelp and barnacles, rising higher and higher until it blots out the moon. A single massive eye opens, faintly glowing green, rimmed with scars older than kingdoms. And then, with a sound like mountains breaking, the thing exhales. The gale knocks 3 men into the sea instantly. Their screams vanish in the black. Elu's voice cuts through the chaos. Hafgufa has heard us, and she is hungry. The ship lurches violently, pulled backward toward an expanding whirlpool, wide, dark, endless. Ropes snap. Shields tumble into the abyss. Your hand slips on wet wood, knuckles splitting against the deck. Bjorn roars. Row, damn you, row. The oars dig deep. Wood creaks. Arms burn. The whirlpool yawns wider, and Hafgufa's breath steams against your back. Somewhere above, Ron is laughing. The prow kisses sand with a hollow, bone-deep thud. Bjorn leaps first, boots sinking to the ankles in black grit, and drags the longship higher by its mooring rope like a wolf pulling prey from water. Men follow, splashing knee-deep, shields slung, axes naked. Leif is beside you, his hair still wet, face streaked in salt and soot. The pale rune on your forearm burns cold as the Vestfjord torches wink through the mist. Above, the hall squats on its ridge, its roof a jagged silhouette against the blood sky. It looks less like a home and more like a wolf with its hackles raised, crouched and waiting. The wind carries the sound of drums, fast and uneven, fear pounding inside timber walls. He knows, Leif mutters, sliding his knife into its sheath. Good, you answer. Let him watch it burn. Before steel and fire there are names. Eiríkr One-Eye plants his staff in the sand and kneels, the tide touching his knees, salt crawling up his cloak. 7 bodies lie wrapped in sailcloth, each bound with a strip of birch bark marked with runes. Their hair clings damp to their foreheads. Their lips are blue, stiff, kissed by Rand's cold hand. He lights a driftwood torch and speaks their names, one by one. No titles, no boasts, just names. Each syllable goes into the wind like a stone into water. When he finishes, Bjorn speaks last. The sea keeps you, he says, voice like an oath carved into oak. We will spend your lives well. The men bow heads, fists to brows. There is no weeping. The dead are already feasting elsewhere. You climb. The pinewood rises around you, thick and close, its needles wet with mist, its trunks whispering secrets in every gust. Somewhere above, the hall spits sparks from its smoke holes, glowing like an ember trapped in a wolf's throat. Bjorn raises his fist, and 50 feet of men freeze as if carved from the same rock. Up ahead between black firs, 2 Vestfjord sentries lean against their spears, half hidden in fog. Their words drift down in broken threads. Skard will come, one says. Skard's at the bottom, Leif whispers beside you, lips peeled back from his teeth. Bjorn does not waste time. He draws his seeks, moves like shadow, and by the time the 2nd sentry breathes his last, the first has not yet fallen. Both are lowered silent into the needles. Blood soaks dark, hidden in pine roots. The path opens. At the ridge's crown, Skard's hall stretches long and proud, antlers climbing its roof like frozen lightning. Torchlight spills through the cracks in its heavy doors. Shadows dance inside, warriors gathering, wives hiding children, priests lifting charms against the night. Bjorn lifts his axe high enough to catch the red sky. Its blade drips salt water and rain. The men fan left and right, surrounding the palisade in a crescent of steel and breath. Eiríkr kneels again, presses his ear to the earth. The ground remembers, he murmurs. It's soft with blood. Old blood, he spits. This place is cursed already. Bjorn smiles with half his mouth. Then we won't feel guilty. The first arrow hisses like a snake trailing fire. It finds the thatch of Skard's roof, buries itself deep, and the dry reeds breathe once, then bloom orange. 2 more follow, then 6, then 20. The hall exhales smoke, screams bloom with it. Doors slam open, spilling warriors into night, half-armored, half-drunk, shields unstrapped. The first clash is thunder. Wood on steel, bone on edge, the air thick with sparks and hot breath. Leif drives his knife into a man's ribs and twists until the scream breaks. You parry a spear, feel the shaft crack beneath your blade, and step inside its ruin, your axe-splitting helm and skull in one honest blow. Bjorn moves through the chaos like fire through dry grass, each stroke final, each step sure. But the Vestfjord fight like men whose names are carved already, and for every one you cut down, another comes screaming. Then the horn blows, not yours, not theirs. A third voice, deeper, older, rolling down the fjord like thunder off stone. The battle pauses, if only for the time it takes a breath to break. From the north tree line emerges a shape no one expected. 12 men, cloaked in seal skin, helms crowned with narwhal tusks, spears carved from whalebone. Their leader carries no weapon, only a staff of driftwood bound with bronze. Eiríkr swears under his breath. "Sami," he says, almost reverent, "spirits keep us." The stranger steps forward, his shadow long in the firelight, and speaks in a tongue Bjorn does not know. Eiríkr translates. He says the beast beneath the fjord stirs again. He says we've woken something older than all our clans combined. A beat. And he offers us alliance if we swear blood oath to leave Vestfjord after tonight. Bjorn wipes blood from his mouth, considers, and finally nods. "We burn the hall," he says. "Then we leave." The Sami man spits into his palm and offers it. Bjorn clasps it without hesitation. The roof caves in with a roar like a god breaking his own ribs. Sparks rise like souls fleeing judgment. You step back from the heat, sweat boiling under your cloak, and watch the hall of Skard collapse into itself. The men are silent, even Leif. Eiríkr gathers a handful of ash and marks your brow, then his own. "Skard is done," he says, "but the debt below still waits." The Sami leader turns his face to the black water beyond the ridge. His voice is low, meant for the waves, but you catch one word, ancient and sharp as bone. "Hafgufa." You leave Vestfjord with smoke in your hair and new scars under your ribs. 2 ships lighter, 20 men fewer. Behind you, gulls wheel over the ruin. Before you, the sea lies flat, too calm, too knowing. Leif leans close, voice rasping, half laugh, half prayer. "If the deep keeps secrets," he says, "then we're living in one." For a heartbeat after Skard falls, there is only wind and steam and the slow drip of blood from Bjorn's axe. Then the fjord shudders. Boards tremble beneath your boots. Oars rattle in their tholes. The water around the twin hulls dimples as if something vast is breathing just below the surface. Eiríkr one-eye turns his ruined gaze to the mist, mouth moving in a prayer too old for words. "Rand stirs," he rasps, "and where the sea wife walks, things rise to greet her." The fog peels back in tatters. Far off, the horizon kinks, bulging upward like the back of some sleeping colossus. A smell rolls in, not the clean bite of salt, but a deep, cold musk, ancient as stone and whale bone, salted with old graves. Leif's hand finds your wrist and squeezes. You feel his pulse, quick, defiant, and underneath it, your own, drumming to the same brutal meter as the sea. Bjorn does not look like a victor. He looks like a man bargaining with fate. He plants his boots, raises his blood-wet axe, and nods once to Eirik. "Blot," he orders. "Now." From a tarred chest, the goatee pulls what the crew saved for luck and winter stew, a black-haired goat, bound and blinking. He lays it across a shield and traces runes in its blood with 2 fingertips, muttering the names of those who drown without burial. When the blade bites, the sea seems to listen. Blood spills. The surf hisses, greedy. "Ran," Eirik calls, flinging the red arc into the heaving gray. "Take this gift and not our oars." "Aegir," he adds lower, "still your 9 maidens. Give us passage." Then, heavy as a verdict, Bjorn orders Skard's body swaddled in his white wolf cloak. 4 men lift him. Even enemies get rights, if not for love, then for balance. "To the hall you earned," Bjorn says, voice gravel and wind, and they tip the Jarl of Vestfjord into the iron water. The sea accepts him without a ripple. The fog parts as if torn by fingers. An island looms ahead. No, not an island. It is too smooth, too black, too wet. Water sheeted off its back like rain off a roof. It rises, rises, rises. Someone whispers a word you have only ever heard in skaldic lies. Hafgufa. The giant's breath is a cave wind. The sea around it slackens and then pulls all at once, as if the world itself has tipped. Your longship yaws, bow swinging, stern sliding toward the vast, dark oval that opens where a mouth should be. Backwater, backwater, row, Bjorn roars, and the drum explodes into a frantic tattoo. Men throw their weight onto the oars. The shafts bow, the tholes scream. Your shoulders ignite with fire. Across the gap, Vestfjord's second ship is not so lucky. She slews broadside and vanishes, not smashed, not splintered, simply gone, swallowed in silence. The only trace is a boiling bruise on the surface and 3 shields spinning like coins. Leif's eyes find yours. There is terror there, and wonder, and a question neither of you will ever voice. How big is the world really if this lives in it? Lightning spiders across the low sky, a pale vein in a bruised cloud. For a moment the world goes white, and in that white you see it not fully, not whole, but enough to brand your bones. Far below, encircling shadow. Scales like broken night. The curve of a thing too vast to fit in stories. Jormungandr, Eirik breathes, the name tasting like metal. The girdle of Midgard turns in its sleep. The water thumps the hull once, twice, like a god knocking from the wrong side of a door. Every hair along your arm stiffens. The air tastes of coins and snow. Not Ragnarök, the goatee says, louder now, as if telling the sea a fact it must obey. Not yet. The pull sharpens. The ocean is a mouth, and you are a splinter on its tongue. Bjorn tears the dragonprow free of Vestfjord's grapples with a hatchet and screams for lines. Men pass them hand to hand, lashing your ship to a sister hull in a desperate braid. 2 ships become 1 spine. Oars bite deeper. A wave taller than a hall comes shoulder first. Your world turns cold and green. You breathe water, choke, retch, blink salt from your lashes. When the deck snaps back into place beneath your boots, Leif is gone. You don't think, you move, belt rope. Wrap twice. Leap. The sea is a hammer, it hits and keeps hitting, 1,000 fists. Down becomes everywhere. The cold biters into your ribs, your scalp, your teeth. Somewhere in the storm milk, an eye opens, lidless, old, indifferent, and it is wider than a shield. Your guts go hot, then ice, then nothing at all. Your fingers find a wrist. Leif's wrist. You lock and pull, and the rope grows taut, and suddenly the sea does not own you after all. Hands like grapnels haul you both over the rail. You fall onto planks that shimmy like a breathless chest. Leif coughs and laughs and coughs again, blood and brine mixing on his tongue. "You mad bastard," he wheezes. "Now Ran knows your name." You can't argue. Somewhere in your skin, a numb patch stings into life. When you look, you find a line drawn by salt and chance, a pale rune on the inside of your forearm. Laga's, water, or fate's little joke. Eirik sees it and goes very still. "A debt," he says. "She will come to collect." Night does not fall. It is torn down. Clouds stack like black cliffs. A red wash leaks underneath them as if the sun has been cut. The ravens go mad, their voices knives on glass. To the west, a thin crescent of light buckles, wobbles, a wolf's head eats at it, jaw closing, opening, closing. Skal runs faster today, one of the oarsmen mutters. Or Hattie does. Hold your tongue, another says, because naming a thing invites it nearer. The drum does not so much beat as plead. Arms move past exhaustion into the blank country beyond it, a place of pure, clean savage work. One man pukes and rows. Another weeps and rows. You row and row and row, and the world narrows to wood and salt and the taste of iron on your teeth. Behind, the Knot Island tilts its head. Its mouth, if that is what that pit is, yawns wider. Ahead, the sea lurches and then mercifully slackens. The braid of ships slides into a trough. The pull eases. The breath you didn't know you were holding rips out of you in a shout that is not triumph, not yet, but not fear either. You count heads by the ugly light. 2 boats ride with you where 3 lash together. The third is gone. A helmet floats past, a child's toy bobbing away. A spear shaft thunks the strakes. Far astern, a shield flips once, twice, and then the red sky takes it. Bjorn stands, his weight on his good leg, hair strung with salt. He looks like a rune carved in storm and bone. When he speaks, he does not shout. He does not need to. We make for Vestfjord, he says. We burn the hall, we take what we came for, and we leave an offering richer than any priest can count. He looks to the place where the sea unmade a ship. For the ones who won't row home. The men answer with their oars. That is all the language that matters now. In the lee of the sister hull, Eiríkur binds Bjorn's ribs with a strip torn from Skard's cloak. The chieftain does not flinch. The goatee's fingers are gentle, his good eye bright with the cold fire that follows terror. You saw it, he says to you without looking. You nod. Your mouth is ash. Then remember what you saw, not for fear, for weight. Names that big make small men careful. Leif is already making jokes about how the Valkyries will want a second look at him now that he drips like a seal. His laughter wheezes through salt-burned lungs. It is a sound like a rope fraying and holding anyway. Eiríkur touches the pale rune on your arm, not unkindly. Lagas, he says, confirming what you already felt. Water, flow, debt, memory. You belong to the sea in some small, irritating way. He smiles like a cracked rock. Try not to drown until she asks nicely. The mist lifts in tatters. Ahead, cliffs shoulder the sky. Between them, a bite-shaped harbor grins. On the north headland, a hall squats high-roofed, antlers along the ridgepole, smoke licking from slits. Torches gutter along palisades. Drums. Not yours. Their pace is quick, nervous, unpracticed. He thinks his Jarl will ride down and call us off, Leif says, teeth showing. His Jarl sank, you answer, and the sea does not argue. Bjorn raises his axe, and the dragon prows answer by lifting their snouts. The men check straps, cinch helms, kiss amulets, spit for luck. Eiríkur smears a thumbprint of soot across your brow and Leif's. It smells like pine and old bone. For sight, he says, not for victory. Victory belongs to the ones who can still see when the world turns red. The oars lift, drip, lift. Your ship noses toward the mouth of Vestfjord like a wolf toward a byre. The blood sky thins to a copper veil. The wind carries the smell of peat smoke and fear. Then the hull shivers. Not much, just enough. You feel it first because the rune on your forearm cools as if someone pressed snow there. You lean out over the strakes. Below, for a blink, for less than a blink, a darker dark slides under the keel. It is not Halfjufa, not Jormungandr, not any name you own, it is following. You straighten and meet Eirikur's eye. He nods once, tired and certain. Debts, he says, always debts. The horn at the bow sounds. The beach rushes nearer, men brace to leap, shields lift. Axes rise like dawn. Somewhere out beyond the harbor mouth, the sea smiles a black, slow smile and keeps pace. The deck of your longship is a battlefield. Corpses lie tangled in pools of blood and salt water, shields shattered, weapons broken, and the freezing wind carrying the stench of iron and death. Your arms burn, your breath comes ragged, but the fight is far from over. The enemy flagship looms beside you like a floating fortress, its black shields dripping with seawater and blood. The mist around you swirls like restless spirits, wrapping both fleets in a pale shroud. Ravens scream overhead, their cries sharp and wild, as if Odin himself commands them. Bjorn Ironhand stands upon the raised stern, his wolfskin cloak soaked crimson, his breath steaming in the icy air. Across the narrow gap on the prow of his flagship, Jarl Skard waits. Towering, broad-shouldered, wrapped in a cloak of white wolf pelts, his face painted with spirals of black ash. In his hand rests Skalgrim, an axe forged from meteoric iron, its edge glowing faintly blue where the frost kisses it. Neither man moves, neither blinks. Even the sea itself seems to hold its breath. Then, with a single roar, Bjorn leaps the gap between the ships. He lands like thunder, wood cracking beneath his boots, and Skard steps forward to meet him, raising Skalgrim high into the pale light. Their axes collide with a sound like breaking mountains, sparks leap, and the shock travels through the deck beneath your feet. You want to rush in, but Leif grabs your arm. "No," he hisses. "This is their fight." Around you, the battle slows. Vestfjord's warriors and your brothers alike fall back, forming a rough circle of blood and shattered wood around the two Jarls. The drumbeat stops. The only sound now is the ragged breathing of two men who carry the weight of the North upon their shoulders. Bjorn moves first, a brutal wide swing aimed at Skard's neck. Skard blocks, but the sheer force sends him staggering backward, boots sliding through blood. Bjorn follows with a flurry of strikes, his axe carving arcs of death through the cold air. He fights like a storm given flesh, relentless, wild, unchained. "Skard," he bellows. "You dared deny the sons of the North their tribute. Now pay in blood." Skard spits into the deck, his breath steaming. "I owe you nothing, Kveldjarl," he snarls, using the old word Twilight Chieftain, a curse meant for leaders whose glory is fading. Bjorn roars, fury flashing in his eyes, and charges again. But Skard is no less a beast. He sidesteps Bjorn's strike, twisting low, and drives his knee into Bjorn's ribs. The impact is sickening. You hear bone crack even over the roar of the wind. Before Bjorn can recover, Skard slams the butt of his axe into Bjorn's jaw, sending him crashing against the railing. The crew erupts in shouts, but neither side dares interfere. This is more than battle. This is judgment. Skard presses the attack, his axe blurring as it cuts deep gouges into Bjorn's shield. Each swing is precise, lethal, not wild chaos like Bjorn, but cold, controlled death. "Odin favors the strong," Skard growls, "and today he favors me." Then it happens. The sky darkens, the sea stills, the ravens fall silent. From somewhere beyond the mist comes a low, distant rumble like the growl of some ancient beast beneath the waves. Eiríkr One-Eye the goatee drops to his knees, his rune staff clutched tight. "Fenrir stirs," he whispers. A wave slams into both ships, rocking them violently. For an instant, you see something vast moving beneath the black water, a shadow too large to name, too deep to comprehend. The old sagas speak of Fenrir, the wolf chained until Ragnarök, but every man aboard feels the truth in his bones. The gods are watching. Bjorn steadies himself, blood pouring from a gash above his eye. He spits red into the sea, then growls low, voice hoarse but unbroken. "If Odin chooses, let him choose now." The two Jarls clash again, axes ringing like thunderclaps, sparks flying in the mist. Bjorn's shield shatters beneath a brutal swing, splinters rain across the deck. Skard lunges forward, aiming to cleave him in two, but Bjorn moves faster. He twists his broken shield arm around Skard's strike, catching the haft of the enemy's axe beneath his iron brace. The forged plate he wears on his right forearm, the iron hand that gave him his name. With a roar, he wrenches the weapon free and drives his own axe into Skard's chest. The sound is sickening, bone cracks, leather tears, and Skard's breath leaves him in a white plume. For a heartbeat, he stands motionless, eyes wide, mouth open in silent rage, then he collapses to his knees. The deck falls silent. Only the wind moves. Bjorn stands over him, chest heaving, his axe dripping crimson. "Vestfjord is mine," he says quietly, "and so is your honor." Scarred slumps forward, his lifeblood seeping into the frozen wood. The victory is not met with cheers. Not yet. From deep within the fog, that rumble comes again, louder this time, shaking the timbers beneath your feet. The sea churns, waves rising higher, and the ravens scream in mad circles above. Eiríkr One Eye's voice trembles as he speaks. The gods are not finished with us. This blood has woken something ancient. The chains of Fenrir grow weak. Bjorn wipes his axe clean on Skard's cloak, his face grim. Then let the wolf come, he mutters, and let him find us ready. Far below, in the black silence beneath the waves, something vast stirs, and the sea begins to boil. The longships slice through the dark waters like knives through flesh. The sea is restless, black and shimmering beneath a bruised morning sky. Wind hurls freezing spray into your face, cutting like shards of glass. Your hands are numb, but you keep rowing. Everyone rows. The drum beats louder, boom, 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 each strike forcing blood into your arms, each sound pulling you closer to destiny. The prow of your ship, carved into the head of a roaring dragon, splits the waves with a hiss. The wood creaks beneath your feet, soaked with salt and blood from battles past. The ravens follow still, circling above like watchful gods, their cries sharp and hollow in the mist. Somewhere out there lies Vestfjord, the seat of the rival Jarl who dared deny Bjorn Iron Hand his tribute. But before you can strike the enemy's shores, you must first survive the open sea. And today, the sea is hungry. Amid the rows of sweating, grim-faced warriors, an old skald begins to sing softly, his voice carried on the wind like a prayer. Salt in the veins, fire in the sky, Odin rides ravens and men must die. Axes for brothers, shields for kin, the wolf of the north drinks deep again. No one speaks. The creak of oars and the hiss of waves merge with his voice, and for a moment the whole crew breathes as one. Even Bjorn, towering at the stern, lowers his gaze as if the gods themselves are listening. The song ends. The silence that follows feels heavier than steel. The mist thickens. The world shrinks until there is only the ship, the oars, the men, and the sound of your heart pounding like the war drum. Visibility falls to nothing. The fjord fades behind you. Ahead nothing but pale gray emptiness. Then you hear it. A low, hollow sound, distant yet deep, the unmistakable thud of drums. Not yours. Longships, Leif whispers beside you. His hand tightens around the shaft of his spear. Out of the mist, shapes emerge, dark silhouettes. 2, 4, 6. Enemy ships, prowheads carved into snarling wolves, sliding silently through the fog. Vestfjord's fleet, Bjorn growls. Odin has sent us meat. The drumbeat on your ship shifts, faster, louder, furious now. Boom, 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 boom. Men rise from their benches, grabbing axes and shields. The sound of iron rings in the frozen air as blades are unsheathed. Leather creaks, boots thud against wet wood, and breath clouds around faces painted with ash and blood symbols. Shield wall, Bjorn roars. You lock your round shield with the men beside you, forming an unbroken wall of oak and iron. The enemy's first volley comes screaming through the fog, arrows hissing like snakes, clattering against shields, splintering wood. One pierces the man beside you, sinking deep into his shoulder. He collapses with a ragged gasp, but the line holds. Then the ships collide. The impact rattles your bones, nearly throwing you into the freezing sea. Wood cracks, shields grind, and men bellow like beasts as grappling hooks bite into the hull. Vestfjord's warriors leap aboard, howling like wolves in the night. The deck erupts into chaos. You swing your axe into the first man who charges, feeling the vibration of bone splitting beneath steel. Blood spatters your face, hot against the freezing wind. Another lunges from the side, you block his strike with your shield, shove forward, and Leif's spear bursts through his throat with a wet crunch. Everywhere screams blend with the clash of iron and the roar of the sea. A warrior falls at your feet, his skull split clean by Bjorn's two-handed axe. The chieftain bellows, covered in blood and salt water, a towering god of war. But Vestfjord's men fight like cornered wolves. One smashes into your shield, forcing you back toward the rail. Another leaps from behind, blade flashing, and for an instant you see the raven again, circling above. You drive your axe into the man's ribs, but his weight carries you sideways. Your foot slips on the blood-slicked deck, and you slam against the hull, almost toppling into the freezing water below. Leif yanks you back just in time, snarling through his teeth. Not today, brother. Odin hasn't chosen you yet. As you stagger upright, the fog parts for the first time, and beyond the chaos, you see Fjord's flagship cutting through the mist. Its prow rises higher, its shields are painted black, and on the deck stands a warrior taller than any you've seen before. A wolfskin cloak drapes his shoulders. In his hands, a massive axe glints like frozen lightning. That, Bjorn growls, spitting blood, is Jarl Skard, and he's mine. Your ship rocks violently as Fjord's flagship rams into the flank, splintering wood. More arrows rain from above. Screams echo across the water, some swallowed instantly by the freezing depths below. But you feel something strange, a surge of heat, of wildness, of pure primal hunger. The drums beat faster. The ravens scream louder. And deep within, you know, this is not just a raid. This is the beginning of a saga. A battle that will be sung for centuries, if anyone survives to tell it.